Hello and happy Halo Day, everybody. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. And holy cow, talk about a Sunday of news. I mean, despite that my Steelers lost in the last 5 seconds of the game, shout out to Mav and his Cowboys. I was crushed, but such is life. We have Halo news, folks. And we're not just talking about like Halo news. We have Halo news because we have learned a lot of things. The Halo Championship happened this weekend. And again, I'm not going to front. I don't even know who won because I didn't care. Not because I don't play multiplayer. I got 23 days, almost 23 days in Halo Infinite. So I quite enjoy the multiplayer. But this is such a massive topic. This is such an incredible way to open up the show, to start the week off, that this whole show, the whole 75 plus minutes is going to be dedicated to talking about Halo. And of course, we have joining us, who hasn't been here in a minute, Game Pass Dad. Welcome back, brother. It's nice to have you here. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. How you boys doing?
We're doing good. This is going to be a whole show dedicated to Halo. We have a lot to get into. We're actually going to open up the show with watching the 6-minute video from the newly formed Halo Studios. And then we're going to break it down. We have some commentary from Aaron Greenberg. We have commentary from Tim Sweeney that I want to read. I do want to read the press release directly from Xbox Wire. There is a lot to get into. But Fuzzy Belvedere, welcome back, brother. Nice to have you here. How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, this is some awesome news. And, of all days, breaking news on a Sunday evening. That's a way to start off the week.
Indeed it is. Listen, look, there has been a lot of talk over the course of, Halo Infinite, not releasing in 2020 like it was supposed to. Obviously, it was delayed for a year because of the reveal. 343 Industries has never been right for years. And obviously, they have new leadership. We're going to get into who that leader is, why I have faith in his leadership, and everything about what they're doing to shed the old skin of Halo, I think is brilliant. I think that we can never forget where it started, and that was, of course, with Bungie. And Bungie left at a certain point, and it was then turned over to a newly formed studio back in the days called 343 Industries. Bonnie Ross was the head of the studio. She is no longer with the company. She's been away for many, many years. And to be quite fair, the studio itself has been directionless. Yes, Halo Infinite multiplayer is phenomenal. I love it. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine if you don't. I think it's the fastest, best Halo since Halo 3. I play it. I haven't played it every day this year, but I play it quite a bit. And I'm going to get back into it because they have the Halloween event happening on the starting tomorrow. And they have a bunch of new skins. They obviously have ones that look like skeletons. They have, I think, a Frankenstein one. So I want to get in on all of that. But what we saw yesterday and what we're going to watch to open up the show, ladies and gentlemen, is a birth of a new studio shedding its skin of old. And I have some quotes directly from the leader of that studio. And again, let me just pull up the actual article. And the studio head is Pierre Hintze. I hope I'm saying the last name right. It's Hintze. He defines what's happening at Halo Studios as a clean break. Less than a clean break, rather more than a turning of a page. And I want to read all of his commentary because I do think it's super important. But I do want to open up with, of course, welcoming everybody here. Obviously, for the next 75 minutes, both Fuzzy Belvedere and Game Pass Dad are going to hang out, and we're going to talk all Halo. This is the big Halo episode. I know there's a lot of other news that we're going to continue to cover over the course of the next 4 or 5 days into the week's end on Friday. But let's start off with that. Let's watch the video together. I've already seen it 3 times. This will be now the 4th time I'm watching it. And I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I see it, I get goosebumps because I am a Halo fan. I am an OG Halo fan who remembers taking the OG Xbox out of its packaging, and the first thing I played was Halo Combat Evolved. And it's a memory that I don't think I'll ever forget. And I think that it is so important that this is happening now, because Xbox as a platform has evolved, has changed, has become this juggernaut in the industry, regardless of what the gaming media and the trolls of the interwebs want to tell you on how shit of a corporation Microsoft is, or how terrible Xbox is as a platform because Xbox has no games and Game Pass doesn't give back enough, or it's not worth its weight in gold because you don't get DLC. Whatever narrative people are spinning, Xbox is the biggest platform in gaming. And one of the things missing from the crown that's currently on top of its head has been a defined Halo franchise. It has been dragging along. It's been fun to play Infinite, but it has not been the legendary franchise many of us want it to be. And as great as multiplayer is, and as important as multiplayer has always been to the brand, let's not get it twisted. A strong single-player, story-driven, narrative-focused Master Chief story has been missing from the conversation. And that changes. Well, that change started yesterday. Let's check out the video.
Chris Matthews, take 1. Mark.
This is Casey Wu, take 1. Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
For 6 years, I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds, have lots of different meaningful characters.
What made Halo successful at the beginning? What is the legacy of Halo, and what's the soul that we want to bring forward, and what's the craft of making Halo games, and how do we set our studio at best to go deliver on that?
We knew we had to make a change in order to take us into the future.
When I first heard about Halo moving on Unreal Engine, my first thought was, this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
I think fans are going to be excited about the future of Halo because of the possibilities that are afforded us by using Unreal.
Before, we really had to split our focus in thinking about building an engine, supporting it, being really kind of a tech company and a studio at the same time. Since we've made the change to shift to UE, we can bring Halo forward in ways that people have never seen before while still being true to what Halo is.
The Foundry project was an effort to show ourselves how far we can push things using Unreal 5.
New studio art director, Chris, came to me and said, hey, I have this crazy idea.
He said, hey, there's this thing called Project Foundry that I want to do. Let's make it happen.
Foundry specifically is based around the same concept of the Foundry in Halo lore. It's the place where Halo rings are born. It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
The original Halo franchise was a graphics showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it first was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
So once Project Foundry had been approved, we took the entire creative team and we ideated on 3 locations, something old, something new, and something really alien.
We had the Pacific Northwest, which is sort of traditional Halo biome.
We were trying to shove as much foliage in there as humanly possible to make it really feel like you're on a hike in the, Cascades.
The Coldlands, which was the second biome that we took on, it was more of a technical showcase where we could play with shaders, we could play with deformable landscapes and terrains. Unreal affords us more opportunity than we've ever had in the past.
On the surface, it might just look all like snow, but how many layers of things combine to really give that winter look?
And then our third biome was the Blightlands, which is any land that's been completely taken over by the flood.
I wanted to give our team the opportunity to really express an alien world, a really alien world, taking something way further than they may have actually done in previous Halo games.
What's impressed me about watching the Halo team work in Unreal is how beautiful everything looks, how incredible the environments look. I don't think we've seen anything quite like it in Unreal Engine before.
Fortunately, we have a studio that's really passionate about Halo, about the look and the feel. And, I think there's a lot of hunger to really collaborate, to move forward together.
Foundry was an initiative that touched on every part of the creative process, everything from concept art, VFX, characters, vehicles, and weapons to make the future games of Halo.
Creating an asset, taking this design, now we can really dig into material foundations. What is it actually made of? How is it physically accurate to the world? Now we get to take all the wonderful legacy assets that we have, bring them to life, and bring them to today's standards.
We are really excited to be not just working on multiple projects, but also expanding our studio.
As a lifelong Halo player, I think the game's only going to get better when we get those new, unique perspectives and people bring in their expertise and passion for the Halo franchise.
We are looking for new talent as the projects that we're working on kind of get further and further into their development cycles.
And it is great to be part of a team that's growing because you can kind of see that force multiplied as people come in and take on challenges and you can do more.
Imagine a place where you have the commitment that this is what we want to do, Halo games, and create those experiences. And you can express your talent, your creativity, and your professional ambitions in that place.
We're looking for designers, we're looking for artists, we're looking for engineers.
It feels like a new beginning for the studio in a lot of ways, and I think that's pretty rare.
And I think we arrived now at a point where you see the beginnings of people to start to believe in the process.
There's so much momentum that we have right now and focus and clarity on not just what we're building, but why we're building and kind of this next phase of Halo.
The worlds that we're building, the stories that we're going after.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we're doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Man, oh man.
There it is.
There it is. Halo Studios. I love the logo, to be honest with you. It's so different. It's I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like it. I happen to think that it's fantastic. So
yeah,
I'm gonna just stop the footage right there. I'm gonna bring up some Halo Infinite gameplay because, well, we're talking about Halo, so why the H not? So let me just bring that up, folks. Give me 30 seconds to do that. I'll bring up this one. Here we go. And Mary, because you see me gonna wreck some people with this just ginormous hammer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So listen, this is a exciting day. Tomorrow we're going to be breaking down more. It's not the whole show, but a good portion to open up tomorrow's show because Infinite Umbra and Jamie Moran really want in on that topic. And I do want to listen. I'm here to celebrate Halo. It is an important franchise to gaming. Master Chief, regardless of whether or not you feel he's long in the tooth or not, is an iconic character that, listen, Halo 4 was a very great, I would even say great game. I very much enjoyed it. It was a the start of a new trilogy for 343 Industries. A lot of people loved it. Some people didn't like it. Halo 5, I'm not even gonna lie. I found it to be, I didn't wind up beating it until years after it released. I did not like it as much. But Halo Infinite, now that's something different. I very much enjoyed the grappling hook. I enjoyed the open world nature of it. I understand a lot of people didn't. People wanted the very claustrophobic, corridor-esque Halo that they know and love from Combat Evolved, and I get all of that. The thing that I took away from this announcement, Fuzzy, yesterday was, well, a lot of things. To be quite honest, the fact that they are going to have multiple teams working on multiple projects says that not everything is going to be a Master Chief story, and I think that's important. I think we've all been asking for that. Before I get into reading some of the quotes and the pressers, I want to get your thoughts on the video.
It was a great way to kind of reintroduce the studio, the rebranding, and just talking about, I guess, their journey in the sense of, you know, trying to expand the universe, have these different biomes and all these different areas that they can work with this new engine. I think is probably the biggest thing. I mean, it doesn't go into detail in the video, but we know that there was some issue as far as like with the slip space engine. It wasn't the engine itself that was the problem. It was more so having talented devs that they could bring in for like the contractors and so forth.
Yes.
And then getting them on board with, you know, the details or the workings of that slip space engine. But it being a proprietary engine that is not used outside of, you know, 343, it's hard finding those that will be able to take to it right out the bat or hit the ground running as soon as they're hired. It's kind of like, okay, here's the breakdown of what you can and can't do, or here's the different quirks to it and stuff. And then that might take a couple of months. So now you've hired this person for a year and you've already lost 2 or 3 months of productivity in the training aspect. But, you know, doing the whole UE5 stuff, I think it makes it so much easier with them recruiting talent. Because like even one of the ladies in the video made mention, it's, you know, recruiting designers and programmers and things like that, because UE5 is this big engine in this space as far as gaming and even in the movie world to some extent. They can hire talent from a load of different areas without having to worry about the downtime of getting, you know, them up to speed and stuff. So that's probably the biggest thing I took away from it. But you know, just the fact that they were able to show these different areas, like as opposed to the way Infinite is, where it's kind of like this one biome kind of setting, other than when you're inside, you know, stuff. This gives them a lot more freedom, a lot more ability to show their creative edge as far as the worlds that they're going to have us explore, or just it also harkens to like something that I've like, well, not just me, but a lot of us in this you know community have asked for, like, why not have like a, not really a Dead Space, but like a horror Halo, you know, like a
different ways of telling stories. Listen, as much as I want to play John 117 and learn more of his backstory and do different things with him as a character, I think that there is room for stories like ODST. I don't think that you need to spend $500 million on a particular one game, one franchise, when you can have smaller teams delivering smaller experiences that are just unlike. See, I think that's where we have to go. And I hope that is where they're going. We're going to get into more of what they're saying, what was said, what other people are saying, but please continue.
Yeah, I think just having that freedom to you know explore different avenues of whether it's biomes or stories or what have you, like different spin-offs in the lore, this is huge. Like, it's kind of the stuff that a lot of the community has been asking for a continuation of Infinite and story stuff pertaining to that. I think this will give them a lot more freedom, because once again, if Slip Space was kind of the Achilles heel before as far as why it took so much dev time, this, I wouldn't say eliminates that, but it definitely shortens it up a good bit. And that's probably the best aspect of it. Between now and next gen, we could see at least another title as a spinoff. Hopefully, whatever is in the works from Certain Affinity will be one of them. But this makes it so much better as far as their productivity, I think, in the grand scheme of things. So it's awesome to hear.
Shout out to Big Mad Mo who says in the chat, hashtag Chief needs to retire. Brother, listen, you're not the only one. Pixelbit G's another one. Shout out to him also. He's in a couple of DMs that I'm in. And he's like, yeah, I'm just, Chief needs to go. Listen, I hear you. I don't want Chief going anywhere. He is a Spartan that's going to live for about 400 years. Let him live. Let's let him live. Listen, Game Pass Dad, first of all, welcome back, brother. It is so great to have you here. I know that you were a massive Halo fan, so obviously when you reached out and were like, hey, are we talking Halo? Get on in here. Key to the front door. I do want to bring you in, but before I do, let me just catch up on that. We have a lot of super chats already. Big thank you to everybody because, again, those you don't understand how important they are. Like these next couple of months, just to give you a preview. We're giving away in a couple of weeks the Mrs. Boom's birthday bash. It's her third annual, I think, because we started off with me, and then she wanted to get in on it as she should, and we're giving $500 worth of gift cards away there. A couple of weeks later, on the 20th, we're giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2. It's it's our way of supporting the devs, right? We're buying 15 copies, the regular copies. We're not buying the deluxe editions because unfortunately, we're not Microsoft. We're paying out of pocket for this. So we're getting 15 copies. And if you want to upgrade, I believe there is an upgrade, way you can just buy the extra DLC. So we're giving away those. And then, of course, the big one, and this is the most we've ever done. I'm actually nervous about it. We're giving away $2,000 in 2 hours. We have never given away that kind of money before. We do it, and we've increased it over the last couple of years. First, it started out as 500. Then we went to 1,000. Then last year, Mrs. Boom wanted to up the ante because, people were having, a hard time. And we helped out a lot of people. And some of the messages of thanks that we got makes us want to do more. So, of course, she's the money lady. She handles all the finances. She said, can we do 2? And I said, well, it's the most we've ever done. And we're giving away $2,000 in 2 hours. It's going to be, I believe how we're going to do it so it's more manageable for us is we're going to give 10 $100 gift cards, and then there's going to be 4 grand prizes of $250. And we can't do any of that without the support that we've already seen here. And I'm actually nervous about that particular day because we're giving away $2,000. We've never given away that kind of money. And of course, it's open to everybody. Even if you are an international viewer and you are picked, and we don't hand pick you, the picker that StreamYards provides is the one that actually does the picking. We just give you a hashtag, you put it in, it picks your name, you win. We will send you the money. And we do it via PayPal to keep us safe. But again, just a big thank you to all of the super chats that are already here and that will potentially keep hopefully coming. So again, we're not filling our coffers and saying thanks folks for the money. We are giving it back. So if we're giving away $4,000 in the next 3 months, and I don't know anyone else that's doing it. And I'm not saying that to put anybody on on the spotlight. It's just that we really do care about you guys and gals, and you're like an extension to our family. So these super chats, trust me when I tell you, they are welcomed more than you could possibly know, because we do like and prefer giving it back rather than keeping it in our own pockets. But the first one of the day comes the way of Maxie Coleman, who drops a very generous $5 super chat. And Maxie goes on to say, I'm sorry. All I see is multi-plat friendly engine. The day this was decided will be remembered as the day Xbox started dying. So, Maxie, I hear you. I know there are a lot of people that are listening that have an unbelievable distaste for what Xbox is doing, going multi-plat. I know there was a story in June. I brought it up. I read it where some people in the press were saying that it is being discussed that Halo might go over to PlayStation. That has not been confirmed. Have other games gone over there? Sure. But I think that there is something to be said about certain backlash, certain games that will or will not get over there. I don't know if Halo's going to go over there. If I was running Xbox, Maxi, I would run it the way Peter Moore would run it, and I would be very, very, very nasty on how I did things. And it would be very simple. If you want to play an Xbox game, you're going to buy an Xbox, or you're playing on PC. And that's how I would rule the roast. But unfortunately, business is not like that these days. And these games are costing millions of dollars, and everybody's going to be doing it. It just happens to be Xbox is getting all the arrows now. When PlayStation officially puts God of War on Xbox, and they eventually will. And someone's going to clip me for it and say, oh, look at that Boomstick being an idiot again. Sony is bleeding money left, right, and center, which is why it was just reported that for PlayStation 6, you got everyone that buys a PS6 is probably going to be playing remasters. I mean, they're supposedly remastering the God of War collection, every one of them, including the ones that are on PSP. Like, is that what you want as PlayStation gamers? I mean, I admit I will play a remaster of a Resistance Fall of Man because that was on PS3 and it's stuck there. Motorstorm is another one that I would gladly pay because it's stuck on PS3, which I don't own anymore and I can't play it. But I mean, listen, Maxie, I hear you. A lot of people are going to walk away with a distaste if Halo ever goes over. And I think I'll be in my feelings as well. But I'm not quitting the brand. Xbox is the place I enjoy playing. And I'm not a businessman or woman. So I really can't make these decisions. It's out of my hands. I'll talk about it. I don't like it. But unfortunately, things in gaming are changing in ways that a lot of us are not going to like. Unfortunately, that's just the way business rolls. But thank you so much for the support, brother. We have Sloth here, who drops a very generous, a $10 super chat and says, I hope Halo gives some love to the ODST stories. Hope everyone is having a good morning. Yeah, I mean, look, there is something to be said about the ODST. And now, you know what's funny? This show was originally written as we were talking about the Forged, the Forged Falcons, who did the ODST dropship game, which is obviously available in Forge, and that looks pretty dope. There's also was announced that Halo is going to be in third person. Like, holy I can't freaking. And that was going to be and then of course this happened, and well, here we are. But listen, brother, thank you so much for the generosity. We also have Starfield Guy. Drops a very generous £10 super chat and says, hi, Boom, Fuzz, and Game Pass Dad. I just watched the Stalker 2 documentary, and wow, what these guys had to endure was truly disturbing, terrifying, and humbling. A remarkable studio. I will fully support them. And you know something? That's one of the reasons why Mrs. Boom and I are doing what we're doing. Not for popularity, not to get anyone to sub the channel because they may win a copy. It's for us to support a dev that by all rights should not have even finished the game that they started. And somehow they did. Even being displaced, even losing team members who defended the country and died in the line of duty. It is a story that just talking about it gives me goosebumps. And again, it's a very small way of giving back. And I am not being facetious at all, but it's just our way. And we're proud to do it, to be honest with you. Don Otaku drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I'm conflicted. Positives here. It frees up devs to work on creativity/content instead of engine and multiple projects in the works. Negatives, it may not feel like Halo anymore, and Forge may lose features. I mean, listen, there is, I'm sure, going to be a lot of talk throughout this week and maybe even continued into next week, because this is big news. The fact that they are turning the page on 343 Industries into Halo Studios is super exciting for me. And again, I really want to read what they wrote and what the director of the Halo Studios actually had to say. It's very intriguing, and it's, again, for me, it's super exciting. I don't think we're going to lose the feel of Halo. I think Halo is always going to be there. I don't see Unreal Engine changing that in that big of a way, but you know, we will certainly see. We also have here Will Broke Boy Lewis has once again the generosity just pours out of this man. Will, thank you so much for it. He has gifted 5 double barrel gaming memberships. That is very kind of you. He's done that more times than I can remember or even count. So thank you, Will. Appreciate you being here, brother. And thank you for the generosity. Lieutenant Hulk, welcome back, sir. Nice to have you here. He's been a channel member for 3 months. He goes on to say they need to bring back Noble 6 and tell his story, or his story of being a headhunter for Oni or a team up with Master Chief. I still want, I mean, listen, unfortunately, we know what happened with all of the story content that we were supposed to get with Infinite. We were going to learn what happened with Locke, which we still don't know. We know that his helmet is being used as a piece of armor. So did he die? I would imagine so, potentially. What happened to Buck? What happened to the entire team? We don't know. There's so much of that story I don't know if we're ever going to get. And that's a real shame, because Infinite was just amazing. We also have Silver Afro, who's been a channel member for, a whopping over 3 years. Dude, that is crazy generous of you, Silver Afro. We truly appreciate the generosity. He goes on to say, it's easy to be negative. Thanks for keeping it positive. Won't play games, not plastic people. Yeah, dude, some of the things that I saw, and I'm not a name kind of a guy, because I don't really want that kind of smoke, and that's not my kind of brand. Like I said, I take no hate towards anyone who uses it as their type of brand that does the name of naming thing. It's just not what we do here. But I did see a lot of negative stuff, and it's just, why even get out of bed? Why even play games? Why even be in the medium? If you hate gaming, if everything out of your mouth is so negative, why even bother? That's my thing. I mean, if you have a tough life, I hear you, but man, the negativity is it's just gross. And that's why this weekend alone, I did a lot of positive tweets about, honestly, this is Metaphor was my first real Atlas game. I've always appreciated the work. I've just never played them like that. The only game I've ever tried was Persona 5, and after an hour I sold it. I'm like, yeah, this train riding thing, I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening here. Okay, I'm gone. But I'm all in on Metaphor. I'm about to beat the demo, or the prologue now. Phenomenal. But we have here Don Otaku drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, there's no such thing as an engine that isn't multi-plat friendly when the PlayStation 5 and Series S consoles are using the same architecture from AMD. Yeah, I mean, well, they're both using x86 architecture as well. So if they make it for PC, they could make it for either console. That's a great point, Don. Mr. Nichols drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, the only real next-gen gaming is on Xbox. I mean, that is very true, because you do have Hellblade 2, which is phenomenal. You do have Gears of War E-Day happening potentially next year, maybe the following year. I think it's going to be a launch title for the series, whatever it's going to be called. And of course, now Halo is going to be running Unreal Engine 5. So yeah, you're not wrong. We have Chris R. drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, I'm so excited for the future of Halo. Yes, I'm right there with you, Chris. However, I hope that there isn't a story reboot. 20 years of lore would be a shame to throw away. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think you can effectively do that and just tell a new story and somehow let that be like the Star Wars books that were written like they can, but not really. No, I think you're going to see it evolve. No pun intended, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We also have Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $5 super chat, and Will goes on to say, I will honestly admit I have not played a lot of Xbox first-party games. What is the best one to start with? I figure most will say Halo Gears. I mean, Will, I'm going to tell you this right now. Oh, just again, this is just a small piece of information. At the Halo Championships, there was a screenshot taken of a 10-year anniversary remake of the original Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. I have the screenshot. It says 11/11/24. That was taken. That is probably happening. That launched in the Master Chief Collection 10 years ago on the what was it, 11/11/14. So there is supposedly going to be this Unreal Engine 5 version of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition happening this year. It leaked. I have the actual screenshot, so this is not like I'm breaking any NDAs or anything. It was like in the background of it. You can I'll bring it up for you to see. But again, that would be freaking dope, to be honest with you. And lastly, before we bring Game Pass Dad in here, Nino Vestek, our very good friend all the way from Hawaii. Aloha to you, kind sir. He has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That is very kind of you. Thank you for being here and also the generosity. Game Pass Dad, let's talk about this 6.5 minute video from the newly formed Halo Studios. I mean, look, they're saying all the right things. People there are excited. The leader of the studio seems to be, of course, is Pierre Heinz. He seems to be like in place of where they want the studio to go. I think to add to a little context to what Fuzzy was talking about, one of the biggest problems, specifically in Seattle, when it comes to hiring people to work on these games, especially in 343 Industries at the time, is that they're almost like temps. Yeah, and they're contractors. They're contracted to come in, learn the system, and work on the game. And when their contract is expired, Microsoft sends them on their way. And that's like in the law of Seattle, which I think is dumb. I think what they need to do, and I think it's clear that the problem is that if you don't have people that work on the game regularly, the game is never going to feel the same. That was one of the biggest problems with 343 Industries. I hope that they're going to be looking to build these teams with permanent members. Let's get your thoughts on the video.
Yeah. And from that respect, that was a big thing that I talked about this last night on my stream as well. That was a big thing that I had pointed out was I'm hoping that with this, because they've been rebuilding 343 for a while. It Bonnie was the head, and 2022 was when Pierre took over. Which you have to remember who Pierre is as well. He's not just a random person that's worked for 343. He was in charge of completely reinvigorating and revamping the Master Chief Collection and bringing that entire experience from a really terrible and unplayable state to where it is today, like incrementally increasing it, because it wasn't necessarily overnight that we got a very playable and very fun collection to all things Halo. It's very sad that it took so long to do it, but Pierre was the person in charge of that project and brought it to fruition. And now that they've cycled through a lot of the leadership that was in place for 343, Pierre is now in charge for the last 1.5 to 2 years now. I'm not exactly sure how long it's been, but there have been a lot of positive changes in that time to Halo Infinite that makes it feel more like Halo and brings it back to like a lot of things that we respect. And I feel like they've really improved on a lot of things. Like Infinite in and of itself needs a lot of work, but I do feel that this rebrand of 343 is in a way kind of what a lot of people were asking for when they're saying, hey, shut down 343, give it to somebody else. Like they kind of have, like, there's a lot of like structural changes that have taken place in the background. And I feel that this is now a visual representation that we're moving on from the way that 343 did things. So with that, if they're going to take the time to release this video and this tech demo and also move on from the slip space engine, which they also mentioned had been a hindrance because of the fact that they have to manage an engine along with developing the game, which I've heard quotes in the game from gaming industry people that say like if like reasons to like rebuild or build your own engine for a game, and basically the more or less like if there's not a specific reason to actually build the engine to make the game the way you want to make it, then it's just saying it, like the whole meme of it was just that the reason why you do it is just for your own ego and complete hubris. Like there's no reason to do it unless you absolutely have to make your game work necessarily. So I think with an engine like Unreal Engine 5, which is industry standard across the board for so many games, and I feel like there have been concerns, like there's a lot of tangents I can take here, but I do feel like they are successfully showing off with this that it is possible to make Halo look like Halo in Unreal Engine 5, which I feel like is a lot what concerns a lot of people. I know it's already getting some flack for not quite looking realistic or whatever. Maybe it looks too realistic. I still feel like they can dial it in. I like what they've shown so far.
Yep.
And I feel like tweaks to the art style over time are just to be expected, because I don't want my Halo to necessarily look like Halo 2 forever. You know, like it's going to look different. But with the changes to the new engine, like to moving it over to something that is more manageable, I do hope that it makes it so any workers who are not there for the long run are up to speed faster. I do hope that they're able to make sure to, like, I would imagine one of the biggest things that they're working on is also to dial in that feel of Halo, because when Infinite launched, like it didn't feel as good as it feels now. And they've done a lot of things that are bringing back things that were omitted, like grenade bouncing and balancing of weapons. I still wish like player characters could physically interact with one another, but I don't necessarily miss that as much in like day-to-day gameplay. But like for the type of like glitch hunting and things I did in like Halo 2 back in the day, or just messing around, I would like to be able to like stand on top of another Spartan's head. I think that's probably one of the only things that's really missing now.
We used that trick to get those hidden skulls, if you remember.
Yeah, like all the glitches that were in Halo 2 that like you just learned to love as features, basically. But yeah, I do think that with this change, I really hope that there is an investment from Microsoft, because I feel that Halo's kind of just been the problem child for a while. They're just like, well, we're not resonating with an audience. We can't afford to keep investing in it. Is the feel that I've gotten from like the last 10 years, like since Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, which someone had also brought up. I think RJ in the chat brought up that like they're actually remembering that the flood is part of the game. Like I do
yes,
feel
great
like
points. Yes,
I do feel that is a big part of the feel, like basically with the didact and like everything that goes along with that, and the way that they combated the flood. Like we really haven't encountered the flood in a long time. And I feel like from the single player experience, like the campaign experience, that's a big portion of what makes Halo Halo. Like I remember in 7th grade when I first got Halo, like I couldn't play it late at night by myself once I got to the library, because like I had to get my buddy to come spend the night and play co-op to finish the game, because I was fucking terrified of the flood. Like it was a horror game for me at that point.
Absolutely.
And it, like that, and it's like I've loved Halo ever since then, though, because we used to play every day after school in 8th grade, literally just playing infinite grenades like on Hang 'em High in Halo 1. Like it was always like something going on at my house playing Halo back in the day. Like you can ask any of my friends from back then, like that's all we were doing. But I do hope that like we get that same level of investment, because that's what really feels like. The fact that they have so many temporary workers on contract work causing this, because that's going to cause issues. Like we don't have a core group of passionate people, probably aside like from at least the Infinite development. It feels like they didn't have like that core group of passionate people that's dedicated to work on it. And like with how much like Halo is one of the biggest like franchises ever, I believe. Like I think it's in like the top 25 like most valuable franchises in the world last time I checked. I might be mistaken, but at the very least it's like a $6 to $8 billion franchise. So it's made some of the most money out of anything ever. And I do feel it deserves that investment. And if they do deliver a quality experience, then they're going to get the engagement back. Maybe it's not going to be an immediate or as quick of a success as some other things because it is a bit dated, but I feel like as a franchise as a whole, and especially with Game Pass, like that investment into the other types of games in the universe, like revisiting ODST, maybe like the way that we got it from the ODST game itself, maybe even looking into other Spartan stories. Like, I mean, the Master Chief, like I feel the same as you. I feel like there's always a place in games to tell different parts of Master Chief's story, whether it goes all the way back to like the Colony Wars and like back when he first became a Spartan, and all the way to like new stories as well, which I feel like it's not like they've told everything there is to tell from like who he was before. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff they could do then, kind of like they're doing with Gears of War, but there's still stories to be told with Master Chief and experiences to have there. And there's also experiences and stories we can have with other characters. So I think for me, that's the fact that they're mentioning that there's multiple projects. I really hope that comes with the investment and less of the temporary employees and contract workers. But at the very least, when you do have to use that, because we all know that money, like budgets are a big portion of what gets approved. And it is pretty apparent that with the focus on Xbox and the size it is in Microsoft right now, that they probably have to justify everything they spend on. I'm just really hoping that we get that budget and we get the money behind Halo to make sure that these pieces that are falling into place can be utilized to their fullest, and we can really maximize it. Because if you look at like a Super Mario, like I don't feel that as an IP, like Halo necessarily has been expanded on or utilized as much as it possibly could. That would be the only other point I'd make, is like you look at Super Mario, there's like so many different types of Mario games that Nintendo has, and they still protect their IP. They haven't overexploited it. But when it comes to like Master Chief and Halo, like in the last like 5 or 10 years, like the only thing we have is Halo. Like we don't even have like any of those alternative experiences anymore. Or like we had Halo Wars, and we had like the top-down asymmetric shooter. What was that? Halo Assault.
Yeah, the twin stick shooter was actually really fun. I very much enjoyed both of them. Yeah.
So it's like we're not getting any, like we need more. Like we need like maybe one Halo experience every 2 years or so.
I agree.
Or even some like there's enough there, or it's a big enough universe that we could have more experiences. And I do feel like what they really need to possibly make sure they're investing is there's so much lore for Halo with the books and so many talented writers from like Bungie back in the day. Like, I mean, I feel like you see it with Bungie now and Destiny. Like, I don't feel like they're necessarily as committed to the lore as they used to be. That was a big thing that always drew me to Halo, was like there was always a story and a universe to be fleshed out. Like, we need to get back to that. I think we need to focus on that. We need to honor what was there. And I feel if they handle it correctly, and I do feel like we have the right people who are passionate enough about it to do that, then Halo's brightest days could be ahead of us.
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, fantastic points from both you and Fuzzy. Here's the thing. And I know very specific people that watch the show. And I implore you, Halo needs to be treated like a special franchise that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Before the video, before we learned that, you know, they were doing all these different things, there's multiple projects, Unreal Engine 5, there's going to be a third-person mode, all of these things, I would have easily said on any day of the week, they're not treating it as a special franchise as it should be. That's just my opinion on it. Okay, so I saw a lot of pushback on this. You know, certain journalists were like, well, you know, I'm just never going to, you know, until it's a great franchise again, it's not going to be a great franchise, whatever. I hear you. It just apparently, for some reason, you can never talk about Halo positively without someone trying to shit on your parade, or talk about Xbox positively because well, they're just the worst platform of them all because I don't know why. Look, they're making change. This is a massive shift in how they make and tell the stories of Halo. That is a monster-sized deal, and it should be celebrated. Again, I know I can understand where people are going to have, they're we're not sure where it's going to go. My expectations, in the last couple of years have not been met or whatever. And I'm not going to fight you on it. If you feel that the last couple of Halos weren't your cup of tea because they weren't like 1, 2, and 3, I'm not going to fight you on it. That's how you want your Halo to be, then so be it. But for me, the only one that kind of just really never hit with me was 5. I hated the Prometheans. I didn't really care for them in 4, but they were done in a way where at least they weren't shoved down your throat or shoved up your nose. Halo 5 was, to me, terrible. Graphically, it was gorgeous. Great character models, great music as you would expect. I did not like the story, and I thought the Prometheans were just terrible characters. I really did. And again, it's one of those things where where's the Flood been all this time? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought for sure we were going to get, in Infinite, for sure we were going to get the Flood, and we didn't, and that's very unfortunate. But look, I do want to read the presser because it's incredibly important. It has a bunch of information that's outside of what you learned from the video that we watched to open up today's show. So this is a comment, and this is a quote, I should say, from studio head Pierre Heinz. It's and he says that it defines this less like a clean break and more of a turning of the page with the Halo franchise. And he says this, and I quote, "If you really break down Halo, there have been 2 very distinct chapters. Chapter 1, Bungie. Chapter 2, 343 Industries. Now, I think we have an audience which is hungry for more. So we're not just going to try and improve the efficiency of development, but change the recipe on how we make Halo games. So we start a new chapter today." And just again, this is just reading, from different quotes from different people. This is called the first step, and it says this, folks. Switching from the studio's Slipspace engine to Unreal is a key part of that change. Previously, 343 Industries needed a large portion of its staff simply to develop and upkeep the engine on its game on its games that it ran on. And I quote, "We believe that the consumption habits of gamers have changed. The expectations on how fast their content is available," says Heinz. "On Halo Infinite, we were developing a tech stack that was supposed to set us up for the future and games at the same time. As gaming evolves and players increasingly point out how long it takes to see new games from their favorite series, the team at Halo Studios felt the need to react." And this is from, as COO Elizabeth Van Wyck puts it, and this is quote for her quote, "The way we made Halo games before doesn't necessarily work as well for the way we want to make games for the future. So part of the conversation we had was about how we help the team focus on making games versus making the tools and its engines." And it goes on to say, "Respectfully, some components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old," explains studio art director Chris Matthews. "Although 343 were developing it consistently, there are aspects of Unreal that Epic has been developing for quite some time, which are unavailable to us in Slipspace and would have taken huge amounts of time and resources to try and replicate. One of the primary things we're interested in is growing and expanding our world so players have more to interact with and more to experience. Nanite and Lumen Unreal Engine's rendering and lighting technologies offers us an opportunity to do that in a way that the industry hasn't seen before. As artists, it's incredibly exciting to do that kind of work. Look, I mean, I'm going to include this in the show notes. I do suggest you read it for yourself. It is very, very detailed. But I do want to bring up Aaron Greenberg's quote. Now, I was looking for a quote from Phil Spencer, and I could not find one. I'm not sure whether or not he actually commented on it or he didn't. I'm hoping that he does say something about it. So far, I have not seen anything. But this is from Aaron Greenberg. Now, of course, yes, he is a big part of Xbox, and he is the big marketing guy over there. So he's going to say, positive things, but I don't necessarily think that's one of these times, folks. He says this: I've gotten a chance to see Halo in Unreal Engine 5, and it made me scream. It was so mind-blowing. So thrilled for the entire team at Halo Studios, excited for this next chapter of the franchise. And again, listen, he's going to be a rah-rah guy, as he should be, but the fact that they have a working whether it's a demo or a game, and he's that excited, gets me a bit excited as well. But, there's also one here that I pulled from Tim Sweeney. Actually made a comment. Now, obviously, Tim Sweeney is, of course, part of Epic Games, and he runs the show over there. Give me a second. Let me just bring this up. Fuzzy, I had sent it to you, so now I can find it easily. Yeah, here it is. So Tim Sweeney had this to say, folks. The first Halo redefined console gaming in 2001. And over the generations, Halo has pushed the state of art forward with amazing gameplay, story, and music. Epic is honored that the Halo Studios team has chosen our tools to help with their future work. And obviously, he was quoting the Xbox Wire article, which, of course, again, I will include in the show notes so you could read for yourself. Fuzzy, I want to bring it back to you, dude. Look, I don't know what else we can say, honestly, other than the fact that this is what I think Xbox players have been asking for. And it's pretty epic when you consider the ramifications of this. Now, I'm going to just pause the footage for a second, folks, and I'm going to do it on the air screen share, because I want to show you. Now, this comes the way of Rebs Gaming. He's at Mr_Rebs, big Halo guy. And this is what he wrote in a tweet, and he's the one that got the screenshot of this. He says this was spotted at HCS, which is the Halo Championships. Halo the Master Chief Collection celebrating 10 years on 11/11/24. So again, they're doing something. And it says Halo Combat Evolved in the picture. Let me do a quick screen share, which you find, folks, so you can see what I am seeing. I mean, listen, if you want to show off how the team could work and what Halo is going to look like in Unreal Engine 5, what better way to do it than at its 10-year anniversary of the Halo Master Chief Collection, releasing, which of course was a big part of that collection, the Halo Combat Evolved version. And listen, you're going to do it. You might as well do it in a big way. This was rumored all the way back in June. I think it's happening based on what I'm about to show you. I'm pretty sure that it's happening. So let me just do the quick screen share. And this was, okay, let me bring it up here. There it is, folks. So yeah. So there it is. This was it's terrible quality, but if you read it, it does say 11/11/24. It is celebrating 10 years, and of course that is the the Master Chief Collection. But I think more so, it is going to be the rumored Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition done in Unreal Engine 5, and I think that is absolutely freaking amazing, at least in my personal opinion. I don't know how you fine folks feel, but it's fine. If you don't think the same thing as that's okay. Fuzzy, look, again, We're here almost an hour already. We're going to be here for another 10 or 15 minutes. I do got to catch up on Super Chats. I want to thank everybody. We have 725 people watching live, which is pretty freaking cool. We have 550 on YouTube and 178 on Twitter. So thank you so much for stopping by. I do want to get your take on what you are hoping for. What are your hopes and dreams for Halo and this new announcement? Because look, Forza, as you know, and you are an expert on this, is making strides to deliver a new Forza Horizon 6, and we're going to see things done in their new engine that were used for the last Forza, that with the Forza Motorsport. And I think we're going to see things that we've never seen before. We're going to see ray tracing. We're going to see cars that are going to make our eyes bleed. Interestingly enough, in June, we learned that, of course, the fine folks that had brought us Gears, the Coalition, all these years, are now bringing us a new Gears. We're going back to where it started. And everyone was completely blown away. This seems to be the trifecta, if you will, right? This is what we were, not the order I personally would have taken, because it seemed like we learned about Forza first, then we learned about Gears, and then now we're learning about Halo. And I don't think that it's because it's in that order, any one of the three are less important. I would have started with Halo, but I understand why they didn't. And here we are. We're learning about a new studio created called Halo Studios. The logo has been changed, completely different from what you saw with Bungie, completely different than what you saw with 343 Industries. It is a rebranding. It is a hitting the reset button. But ultimately, most gamers are going to want to return to what made Halo, or Master Chief specifically, our favorite hero in gaming. What are you expecting from the, moving forward? What do you want to see?
Well, a couple of things. Although the first thing I want to start off with is more of the fan service aspect. Like when we're seeing like the 11/11/24, something going as far as like if it winds up being a Unreal Engine conversion of that, Combat Evolved or something to that effect. I think that would be the best fan service, showing the capabilities of the engine before we get to see what's going to be, probably day and date for the next gen console, which we're still in the beliefs that it's going to be 2026 or holiday of 2026. So I think at least getting that taste now and then having a full blown new Halo in time for that, I think would be the best foot forward kind of move. But the other things I would really like to see them do, and I'm pretty sure, although I know there aren't any other Unreal Engine 5 games that really display mods well. There are community mods for some games that are using Unreal Engine 5, but not one that has its own like contained thing like Forge. But I'm hoping that we start to see some of the things that they may be able to create in Unreal that would be like the next generation of Forge. And have it where there is some portability, much like, be it that things from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 are pretty easy to transfer for the most part. Hopefully they'll have something figured out. They'll make that transition easy for the community members that are, part of that modding community as well. But for me personally, the two key things are going to be a Halo Wars 3, let's just say, or even if they do a twin stick shooter, almost in the vein of like the way early in this generation, the Ascent, something possibly along those lines. If they can't do a full on Halo Wars, give something like that a try. But I still want to see that horror, like deep space, ring taken over by the flood kind of deal. And I think that would, without it necessarily being a mainline story, it could be a spin-off where it's not a Spartan, but one of the Marines that are going through that, and you're trying to get off of that before you wind up getting consumed by the flood kind of thing. I think that would be a nice way to add to the lore, or not really to the lore, but add to the Halo universe without oversaturating. Because remember, we've heard before through some of the court documents that were leaked that there was a concern about oversaturation with the Halo IP. But then you look over at something like Mario, and there's like 24 different games over the past so many years of Mario. So I don't think you can really oversaturate as long as you explore some of the variety within the lore of that universe. Like having a horror themed game in that vein, I think would be an awesome, new setting or an awesome new approach, especially using the full capabilities of Unreal Engine 5 and the level of detail and atmosphere that would pretty much lead to a few jump scares and things like that. But I want to really see that as well as like a Halo Wars, because RTSs are now becoming more and more popular on the platform. So why not, kind of dive into that? And then last but not least, and I know people will probably, give me the side eye on this, a Halo RPG or like a third person looter shooter. That's more of my genre that I love, like something like The Division, but futuristic type of deal. You don't have to make a Destiny clone or anything along those lines, but give it a try as far as where you're going through like as an RPG, as a Marine, and leveling your way up, throughout the campaign. Make it a looter shooter. You can expand on it, make it where you can play it as a single player or do it as co-op as always, and go from there. I think having those types of options or different lines for Halo will also just add to the player base that you're trying to bring to the platform. Yeah, I know there's rumors of stuff going on other platforms, but what better way to draw more people to your platform than having those variety of types of modes not modes, but different types of Halo stories being told that will probably attract some of those that are only about the third person over the shoulder narrative stuff, or those that are, fine with the first person shooter, but may want something that's a little different than what we have out there, or have what we've had for the past 20 plus years. They may want something, more of a horror movie type style, or mix an action flick kind of version or something along those lines, bombastic cutscenes and showpieces and things like that. I mean, the options are limitless at this point, and I just want to see how far they can push UE5, especially considering how many of the Xbox studios are using it. I mean, you already have pretty much the experts with Coalition. You have Ninja Theory, which are doing a fantastic job with the visuals. Why not have another studio using that same engine and push it to the limit so they can kind of one up each other, friendly within the confines of Xbox, and really show what is capable as far as this generation of hardware and next gen as well.
I mean, great points all around. Look, I think that there is an opportunity here, and I think you really do hit the nail on the head. Before I bring in Game Pass, that I wanted to elaborate on that point. So Halo as a franchise is known as a first-person shooter, right? I wouldn't even consider it a dude bro shooter. It's just a first-person shooter. It's a Star Wars-esque first-person shooter. And a lot of people don't like that. Now, maybe it is because of the way it controlled. There was no sprint. They've obviously modernized it. I hope that doesn't go away. Sprint obviously is super important. I think that they need to keep with modern controls and just everything that we've learned and used. Like, I don't know if they can actually do a Halo without a grappling hook now. I got so used to using it, it would almost feel weird if they didn't add it to the next Halo. And
Grappling
maybe
hooks make all games better. It's scientifically proven.
and you're not wrong. But see, here's the thing. If what they're saying is true, and that there are multiple projects in development, that tells me that there is going to be a multiplayer. That tells me there's going to be a tale or a story featuring John 117. But when they say projects, there is an S at the end of that. So is it projects only 2? I don't personally think so. I think that they have listened to the masses. I think that there is a world where There can be a Master Chief story. There can be a multiplayer. There can be a Forge, but there also can be an ODST horror type title. There also can be a twin stick shooter, or of course a Halo Wars 3. This is an epic franchise that unfortunately just got overlooked somehow. Why that happened, I couldn't even be the first one to put a thumb on it. I have no idea. But Fuzzy's right. I think that when you look specifically at Nintendo and you look at Mario, there's a Mario RPG, there's a Mario Kart. He plays tennis. He competes in the Olympics. He has world trotting adventures with his brother. There are other parts where he's working with Ubisoft on like turn-based strategy games. You know what I'm saying? So and they all sell really well. And I think that there is something to be said about, again, going back all the way to the beginning of the show, Game Pass Dad, it doesn't have to have a $300 million budget to be considered a AAA game. And not every Halo game has to be that. I'm hoping that they do have small teams that maybe are 20 in size, 40 in size, and they put out an ODST type of game. I mean, how long have we not been clamoring for that particular game, that style of game that was one man versus the world in a dark, very like horror-esque kind of a feeling? We've all been asking for that. I even wrote the script for it. I said, listen, you want to go back to Halo Zeta, and you want to tell the story of when the Flood, just when they were experimenting on them, the experiment goes wrong. One scientist left. One scientist left, not even a Spartan, just a scientist. And he finds a handgun. Then he finds a pulse rifle. And then he's got to make his way to evac. And everyone in the lab is dead. And there's Flood all over the place. That to me sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I would buy that game. Game Pass, that before we get everyone out of here and we just catch up on the super chats, I do want to get your thoughts and theories of what you personally want this to quote unquote evolve to.
I mean, I don't necessarily have many exact like wish list things. Like I mean, anyone could like come up with a concept or like a premise for a game that could take place in this universe because it is so vast. Like primarily, like the main things I'd like to see come from this is the investment and more experiences in the Halo universe, especially with the Game Pass model and with where Microsoft is going in the future, trying to reach more customers. I do think it makes sense for them to take advantage of their franchise in a way that we've seen other gaming companies successfully take advantage of their own, like we've brought up with Mario and other things. So like the fact, like in the past, we've seen games like Grounded come from side projects from Obsidian. I would really like to see, with all the talent that Microsoft has underneath them, like possibly not even just from the Halo studio, but potentially come up with ideas or give leeway for other developers that might have ideas, like to be able to pitch them and possibly run with them, because we don't necessarily need all of these AAA experiences. We could have like the horror style, like single player experience where you're the scientist in the lab and exploring more about like the humans' contact with the Flood and where that came from. But you could have another ODST game, you could have a Helldivers game, you could have more games from like the Covenant perspective or Halo Wars, things like that. I just feel like the possibilities are limitless. So primarily for me, like I want Halo just to be treated by Microsoft as a valuable asset again, because I don't really feel like it. Like I feel like the fact is they made an effort, and I feel like we gotten to the point where we are now because there were diminishing returns. It feels like since 2018 with Game Pass and like the directions that they've been taking. Like Master Chief Collection was brought back, like Halo Infinite was released rough, and now it's in a really good state, but a lot of players have already played it or tried it, and it's not necessarily growing, but there's still a very big fan base for it. Like this week was the Halo World Championships, and you would never think, from seeing like how excited people are and how big the community still is around Halo, you would never think to call it a dead game. But I just feel like Microsoft and Halo have a more difficult path to walk down with this, because you don't get that natural amplification in the gaming space when they do something good. Like people aren't as excited to necessarily talk about Halo because they just might not be Halo fans, and potentially anything else that I won't mention because it might just bring up a whole other argument. But any other plans that they have for their games and the platforms that they're on in the future, I feel like will do nothing but make more people possibly fall in love with it. So I've kind of separated myself from just that console centric viewpoint on things, and I play most games on PC, so I'm probably skewed anyway. But I just want there to be the investment. I want more people to be able to find experiences that they love. And because every time Halo messes up, or even when we have this good news, like the voices that get amplified are all the people that just like to dump on Xbox, dump on Halo, when really this is a really good thing. I'm glad that it shows that there's still care put into it. And I would just really hope that this is being amplified and invested into as a whole from Microsoft, and not just like a Vidoc that the studio themselves put out. I hope we just continue to see that investment and that love going into Halo, and having people that care about this franchise spending their time, because this is some people's life's work, honestly. Like there's people that love Halo, they work on Halo, they're building Halo, this is their career. This might be like one of the biggest things that they ever do, you know. Like for someone like Pierre, like he's spent a very large portion of his career at this point just being in charge of the future of Halo. So I like what they've done with Master Chief Collection. I don't necessarily think that Halo still is at the level of support that it deserves. But I'm hoping with this new focus and these new things that they're doing, that we're going to see like a bigger investment and more varied things. So I mean, they basically told us there's multiple projects. I'm really hoping that it's those hopes and dreams that we have, like what we're talking about now, and not just like multiple projects as in more of the same. You know, like it seems more like it's along the lines of what we're talking about, like new experiences, more investment. It is kind of a we have to wait and see sort of thing, but
yeah,
I just really would like Halo to get back to that point where it's just like where it's undeniable, you know. And it's been a long time since we've had that.
You're not wrong. Like I said, I've always been excited for Halo, regardless of where the studio was, regardless of what the gaming media or the gaming community said about it. I did not care for 5, as I've said numerous times. Loved Infinite. So much so that I got almost 23 days in Infinite. Most of that is multiplayer, but I would have played just as much. I probably half of that would have been in single player if they would have continued the story. And unfortunately, they did not. Thankfully, that appears that there's a big shift happening, a big change is happening, and it's about time. It's well deserved. It's well needed. At this point, this is a flagship franchise. It is Halo is Xbox. Xbox is Halo, and it should always have been that way. And I'm glad that they again shedded the skin of 343 Industries. They have new leadership. They have a new logo. They have a new engine that they're working on, and it looks like, and it appears to be a new ideology on how they're going to tell the story of Master Chief and the universe of Halo moving forward. And I could not be more excited. And again, this is not, I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but we are on the cusp of something possibly very incredible here. I don't think Gears of War E-Day is next year. I don't. I think it's going to be potentially saved or even made for the launch in 2026, which is expected to be the new Xbox console. It just so happens that that will be the 25th anniversary of the box. That also happens to be the 25th anniversary of Master Chief as a character. I think that you are, and again, it sounds too good to be true, to be honest with you. I don't know if they would do such a thing, but if you wanted to take on the next generation with absolute dominance, you put out your new box that is PC like. You allow for people to have it be an open platform where you can get your Steam games, get your Epic Game Store games on there, and play your history of past Xbox games. And when that console launches, you launch with the new Halo, you release with Gears E-Day, and you release with a new Forza. And if you do that, I think that you really come out swinging, and that would be the greatest launch in gaming history. And it would really put Sony behind the 8 ball, because as we know, and I agree with Hargeet, who said that he believes this mid-gen refresh is going to cost Sony a year, maybe 2. If you expect the PS6 to come out in 2026 alongside the Xbox, I'm sorry, folks, that's not happening. You're going to get it in 27, maybe even 28. They are going to pull a 360 on PlayStation, and they know it. And that's why they did not release a mid-gen refresh. They are forward-thinking. They're looking down the line at a handheld potentially being shown off this year at the Game Awards, releasing next year, and then the home console the year after that. I think that they are set up for massive success. And if you consider what they have in their arsenal with owning Bethesda and ABK and Microsoft Game Studios, I think that if you are an Xbox fan, you are going to be eating well for years to come. Let me just catch up on these super chats. We'll get everyone out of here. RC Polygons drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, with Halo, Gears, other Xbox studio games using Unreal Engine, Microsoft should deepening their relationship with Epic Games with an investment or buyout. I mean, maybe that is going to happen. Who knows? But that's a great point. Razor Ultron drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Pierre sounds a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger too. He does have that very deep voice, no doubt about that. Don Otaku drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, facts. Halo needs and Halo RPG, Halo Tactics, Halo third-person action, Halo MMO, Halo Kart, Halo Party, Halo Typing, Halo Kitty, all genres Halo. I mean, you're not wrong. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't personally enjoy a Master Chief kart game. I really would like that to be a character kart game. I've been pushing. Listen, Xbox, if you need someone in the room that likes family stuff, that isn't all about gore, I can pitch you an idea for this kart racer, and it's going to make you a lot of money, because I have a design in my head, and it sounds dumb, but I wrote a bit of a script for it, and I've been every time I get an idea, I jot it down. I have an idea for a gas game for a kart racer for Microsoft. It would make them millions of dollars, like freaking millions of dollars, and it would be free to race, which would be awesome. I have the ideas. I just need the plane ticket.
I think that would be a good idea. Like, everyone loves kart racers, but also, side note, have you seen like the leaked footage of like the Mega Bloks game that got canceled?
It was dope, dude. Yeah. Really dope. I mean, I'd bring that back. I mean,
right. It seemed like it had a lot of potential.
It looked fantastic. I mean, it just looked so great. But maybe they'll bring it back. We also have here. Hey, let's speak of the devil. Hargeet is here. Heisman drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, for the 10th anniversary of Halo 2, they are making the 2003 E3 demo playable on Master Chief Collection. Love the show. Boom, love that. Thank you so much, brother. And it says, by the way, Alien Isolation is getting a sequel. I just saw that. I literally just played and beat that and all of DLC this year. What an amazing game. I had it for years. I just played like the first hour and never went back to it. That game is terrifying. So they're making a sequel. That is dope. Let's see. So Hargeet Chani drops not one but two super chats. The first one of $10. He says, worst announcement would be 11/11/24 Master Chief Collection goes to PlayStation. Not sure Xbox release a Halo game this fall. With all of the other releases, more likely a content update to Master Chief Collection. I mean, it's a 10th anniversary of it, so I would hope that, you know, because remember, during the video and during a lot of the stills that, you know, that were being put out there, that was the Halo Combat Evolved done in Unreal Engine 5. I would like to think that they would make that in Unreal Engine 5 and put it out there. Maybe they don't want to sell it. Maybe it does get dropped into Master Chief Collection. That would be amazing. And that would get a lot of people to, if you don't own it already, buy it. But yeah, 11/11/24 as a PlayStation launch. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. That if they don't know how to read the room, hire me, because that's just a terrible idea. Don't celebrate a 10th anniversary of Halo Master Chief Collection by releasing it on PlayStation. I think that's just dumb. Sorry. I mean, if you're gonna do it, fine. Just not on that particular day. I think that would be just ridiculous. But then again, they've done some ridiculous things. Harky China drops an additional $2 super chat and says Metaphor on Open Critic currently is a 93. Yeah, it's game of the year. No doubt. Well, listen, a big thank you to everyone that tuned in today. Can't thank you enough for hanging out. A big thank you to all the super chats and the channel memberships that continue to pop in. We do greatly appreciate all of them. Let's get everyone out of here. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell the brand. But we're not selling just your brand. Obviously, Fuzzy's YouTube channel is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre, but his wife also has a YouTube channel dedicated to horror. And we're in October, ladies and gentlemen, or Shocktober, if you will. And we want to sell her brand as well. Dude, tell us where we can not only subscribe to your YouTube channel, follow you on social media, but also subscribe to your wife's horror podcast.
Well, as always, thank you for having me on. Greatly appreciate being on here. Always great when we have Game Pass Dad on here as well. Glad you are back on here. It was definitely a good thing having you and your perspective as far as for Halo, because I know how much you play that series as well as, you know, Forza as well. So we have that in common.
Yeah.
I'm not the
It's our
biggest Halo
connection.
player, but yeah, it's it's good to see that it's finally getting some of the attention and love that it, like you guys said, it deserves. But thanks to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys joining us, listening to us, and interacting with us in the chat. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already. It truly, truly helps us. And then for those that are into anything outside of gaming as far as horror, or maybe you're into horror gaming as well, definitely check out my wife's podcast, Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. It's every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just do a search for Ferocious Fee, F-I as in Fiona, on either YouTube or Twitter to locate the channel. And if you want to hear any of my rambles or rants on anything gaming related, just give me a follow on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on FSP later tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m., the new time frame, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. You can also find me, hopefully, with all of you here in the chat this Friday morning for Breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
You know what? It's funny you mention that. Okay, so this particular Friday, there is not going to be a Breakfast with Boom. And the reason why there is, or there's not going to be, is redacted. I cannot say where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be doing because I'm under NDA. But I am going to be seeing something, and I will be able to talk about it towards the end of October. So yes, I will let everybody know once again, there is not going to be a Breakfast with Boom this particular Friday, only this Friday, because I am going to something that I cannot speak about. And that is all I can say. But Game Pass Dad, welcome back, brother. Great to have you here. By all means, sell your brand. Where can people check out your YouTube channel, check out your live streams, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, glad to be back. Definitely going to try and make it a more common occurrence here going into the fall. And as I'm able to, just life got a little bit busy over the summer and getting back out doing stand-up comedy and producing shows again. But I'll be here on Mondays whenever I'm able to be. You can also find me on FSP from time to time when I'm available, but having scheduling difficulties the same way. So I drop in when I can. Always a good time talking with Fuzzy and yourself. Mr. BoomStick, I appreciate you so much for having me on. Also, the one thing I'd want to change about Halo, I forgot about this wish list, is they need to fix the match composer, because I used to play it every single day when I had my Halo 3 maps, and they got rid of that playlist completely. I've got 30 days of playtime, but it has really slowed down in the last couple months. But you guys can find me live streaming on Twitch Wednesdays and weekends. I do try and multi-stream to YouTube when I'm just playing games. But I kind of do a variety of stuff over there. We talk about gaming. We joke around. We have fun. It is kind of comedy centric, but a big thing I am trying to bring back is the Halo custom game night. So I need more people for those. It's a little bit late night, but if you find yourself being a night owl, you want to explore some Halo Infinite and want to get involved with that, please let me know. You can do so on Twitter. Game Pass Dad on everything, or if you want to follow me here on YouTube, I also have a YouTube channel which I've been neglecting, but I do commentary videos, and sometimes we'll rebroadcast my stream over to here when I'm multi-streaming. So Wednesdays and weekends on Twitch and Twitter, all the time on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. You can find me there. But yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me be a part of it. It's always a pleasure getting a chance to talk gaming with you guys, and helping me, encouraging me to share my opinions. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone listening in.
Well, brother, it's great to have you back. Obviously, your chair is just waiting for you to sit in it. You have a key to the front door, so whenever you want to join us, by all means, just, obviously you let us know when you're in. That's it. You're a part of the team. We appreciate your opinions. We appreciate you being here. And of course, a big thank you to everyone that was here. Again, we don't have these shows without you. If you're not here in the audience listening, we're literally talking to the ether. So thank you so much for everyone, popping in, giving us your opinions. Everyone is always really great in the chat. Now, we're not always going to agree, and that's great. I love that kind of pointed conversation, but no one is nasty with each other. And I think that is really a testament to how amazing this community actually is. You guys can disagree, or guys and gals can disagree, but no one's throwing haymakers or using hate rhetoric to tell their side of the story. And I love that about you fine folks. So thank you for being awesome. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And you can see it always brings a big smile to my face, because my father is the greatest man I've ever known. He used to say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.